Have you ever wondered why some people remain in our thoughts even when they're no longer physically present? Why do we miss certain people with such intensity while others simply fade from our memory? According to Carl Jung, one of the fathers of analytical psychology, this is no coincidence. There's a profound psychological connection that determines who stays in our heart and who doesn't. If you've been trying to make someone special miss you, to think about you, to feel that emptiness that only you can fill, then this message is precisely for you. What you're about to discover goes far beyond typical superficial advice. We're going to delve into the depths of the human psyche to understand how emotional connection really works according to Jung's teachings. Carl Jung discovered that what really makes someone miss you has nothing to do with manipulative tactics or mind games. It's about something much deeper. Authenticity and the genuine bond that forms when you choose yourself first. Seems contradictory, right? But stay with me and you'll understand why choosing yourself is the first step to becoming someone who can't be pushed out of another person's mind. Jung talked about the process of individuation, that journey toward becoming who you truly are. And it's precisely when you walk that path that you become magnetic, unforgettable. When you stop trying to be what others want you to be, something shifts in your energy. You become someone who can't easily be replaced because there's no one else like you. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you tried to change to please someone? How many times have you silenced your inner voice, the one that tells you what you really want, just to fit someone else's expectations? Jung taught us that every time we do this, we're betraying our true self, our soul. And curiously, it's that betrayal that makes us less memorable, less missed. The unconscious always seeks truth, both yours and that of the person you want to miss you. When you show up as who you really are, you create an impression in the other's unconscious that's impossible to erase. Your authenticity resonates at a level that goes beyond the conscious mind. It's as if you leave an indelible mark on their psyche. But here comes the most interesting part. For someone to truly miss you, they must first experience what it means to have you in their life, and then feel the void your absence leaves. And for that void to be truly meaningful, your presence must have been authentic, must have touched something deep within them. Jung would call it a connection with their anima or animus, those parts of the unconscious that seek completion. And how do you achieve this deep connection? Not by complicating your life, but by simplifying it. Not by trying to be more for that person, but by being more yourself. Jung said that individuality is the only treasure we can really offer. When you dare to show who you truly are, without masks or pretensions, you become irreplaceable. Imagine for a moment that you've been playing a role in your relationship. You've been being who you think that person wants you to be. Maybe more accommodating, more fun, less confrontational, whatever it is. But that's not really you. It's a modified version, adapted to please. And you know what? That version is forgettable, because it doesn't have the spark of authenticity. It doesn't have the energy of truth. Jung taught us that we all carry a shadow, those parts of ourselves that we hide or repress. And paradoxically, it's often those parts that make us more interesting, deeper, more real. When you dare to integrate your shadow, to recognize and accept those parts of yourself that you've kept hidden, you become a complete person. And complete people are the ones we let into the depths of our being. They're the ones we miss when they're no longer there. Now, if you really want someone to miss you, you need to understand a fundamental principle of Jungian psychology: projection. We tend to project onto others what we don't recognize in ourselves. If that person projects onto you qualities they admire but don't see in themselves, they'll create a powerful bond with you. And when you're not present, they'll feel like a part of themselves is missing. But be careful, because this is a double-edged sword. You can't force someone to project onto you. You can't manipulate this process. It only happens naturally when you're authentic, when there's a real resonance between your being and theirs. Jung would say it's as if two unconscious minds were communicating directly, beyond conscious words or actions. And here's the key that most people don't understand. For someone to miss you deeply, you must first be willing to let them go. Sounds contradictory, I know. But think about it. When you desperately cling to someone, when your energy screams, "Don't leave me," you're projecting dependence and fear. And no one misses someone who suffocates them. What we miss is what makes us feel both free and connected at the same time. Jung spoke extensively about the concept of synchronicity, those seemingly casual moments that have profound meaning. When you learn to trust the natural flow of life, when you stop forcing things, that's when you're most likely to create those magical moments with another person. Moments that will be etched in their memory and that will make them miss you when you're not there. Now, if you've been struggling to make someone miss you, you may have fallen into some common traps. Perhaps you've tried to make yourself indispensable to that person, solving all their problems, always being available. Jung would warn us that this approach tends to fail because it creates an unbalanced relationship, where you give too much and the other person simply receives. And what we receive too easily, we rarely value enough. Or maybe you've tried the opposite, playing hard to get, disappearing without explanation, creating artificial mystery. This might generate short-term interest, but Jung would remind us that what builds lasting connections isn't psychological games, but authenticity and truth. The truth is that for someone to genuinely miss you, they need to have experienced something real with you. They need to have seen something in you that resonated with their own journey, their own struggles, their own dreams. Jung called this the meeting of souls. It's when two people recognize each other at a level that goes beyond the superficial. And to achieve that kind of connection, you need to be willing to be vulnerable, to show not just your strengths but also your weaknesses, not just your successes but also your failures. Jung firmly believed that our true strength lies in our vulnerability. When you show vulnerability to someone, you're giving them the gift of your trust, and that's a gift few will forget. But there's something else Jung taught us that's crucial for understanding how to make someone miss you: the concept of complexes. We all have emotional complexes, patterns of thought and feeling that formed in our childhood. When you connect with someone at the level of their complexes, when your presence somehow soothes or satisfies those deep emotional needs, you create a bond that's very difficult to break. It's not about manipulating those complexes, but about understanding that the deepest connections occur when there's resonance at that unconscious level. When somehow your being complements theirs, when your presence allows that person to feel more complete, more understood, more accepted. And this brings us to another crucial point. For someone to truly miss you, you must have been a positive presence in their life, not a presence that constantly generated drama, that demanded attention, that created chaos, but a presence that brought clarity, understanding, growth. Jung spoke of relationships that help us grow versus relationships that keep us stagnant. The former are the ones we really miss when they end. Think about the people you've deeply missed in your life. What did they have in common? They probably made you feel seen, heard, valued. They probably helped you grow in some way. There was probably a sense of ease when you were with them, a feeling of being able to be yourself. That's what you should aspire to be for others if you want to be missed. Now, here's the message you could send, not just with words but with your entire attitude if you want someone to miss you. And this message is deeply rooted in Jungian psychology. I've learned that my worth doesn't depend on how much you like me or need me. I've understood that I can only offer you my true self without masks or expectations. I'm on a journey of self-discovery, learning to love all parts of myself, even those I tried to hide. And from this place of authenticity, I offer you a real connection. Not one based on dependency or fear, but one that allows us both to be who we truly are. If we resonate at that level, it will be beautiful. If not, that's okay too, because I've learned to be complete on my own. But I know one thing: the connection I offer from this place is unique, because it comes from my deepest essence. And when you find something like that, it's hard to forget. This message, whether you express it with exact words or through your actions and attitude, communicates something powerful: that you're choosing yourself first, that you're living from your authenticity. And paradoxically, it's when we choose ourselves that we become more attractive, more magnetic to others. Jung firmly believed that true love can only exist between two people who are complete in themselves. Two individuals who don't desperately need each other, but freely choose each other. When you become that kind of person, someone who has chosen themselves, who has done the inner work, who lives from their truth, you become someone who is hard to forget. And here's the biggest paradox of all. When you stop actively trying to make someone miss you, when you stop manipulating situations to create that feeling in the other person, that's when you're most likely to succeed. Because authenticity can't be faked. True connection can't be forced. It comes naturally when two people are vibrating at the same frequency, when there's a mutual recognition at the soul level. Jung spoke of the self as the center of our psyche, that core that integrates all parts of us, conscious and unconscious. When you live from yourself, when your actions and words are aligned with that deep essence that you are, people feel it. And that feeling of being in the presence of someone who is genuinely themselves is what creates the most lasting impression. So if you want someone to truly miss you, stop trying to be what you think that person wants. Stop modifying your behavior to please. Instead, commit to your own journey of self-discovery. Ask yourself, what parts of myself have I been repressing? What aspects of my personality have I been hiding for fear of rejection? What inner voices have I been ignoring? And then, with courage, begin to integrate those parts. Begin to listen to those voices. Begin to be more you without apologies, without shame. This process, which Jung called individuation, will not only make you more attractive at an unconscious level, but will also give you a sense of wholeness that no external relationship can provide. Remember that, according to Jung, we're all unconsciously seeking our own wholeness. And when we find someone who seems to reflect parts of ourselves that we've lost or repressed, we feel a magnetic attraction to that person. So the more integrated you are, the more you've recognized and accepted all your facets, the more likely you are to be that person that others unconsciously seek. And when you become that kind of person, you don't need artificial strategies to be missed. You don't need to disappear to create a sense of scarcity. You don't need to play with the other's emotions. You simply need to be you in all your glorious complexity. And trust that people who are in tune with you will naturally feel your absence when you're not there. Jung believed that each of us has a unique purpose, a specific contribution to make to the world. When you live aligned with that purpose, when your words and actions flow from that place of authenticity, you become a magnetic force. People sense there's something special about you, something they can't fully define, but that deeply attracts them. And it's precisely that something special that makes them miss you when you're not there. Because it's not just your physical presence they miss, but the unique energy you bring, the specific way you make them feel, the particular way your being resonates with theirs. If you've been trying to make a specific person miss you, perhaps it's time to ask yourself this question. Is this person capable of valuing your authenticity? Are they at a point in their own journey where they can recognize and appreciate your true self? Because not everyone is ready for deep connections. Some are too trapped in their own fears and insecurities to truly see another person. And if that's the case, no strategy to make them miss you will really work. You might get temporary attention, even longing, but not that kind of deep missing that comes from soul-to-soul recognition. Jung would warn us not to waste our energy trying to create connections with people who aren't ready to receive them. Instead, focus on your own growth, on becoming the best version of yourself, on exploring your own depths, illuminating your own shadows, and trust that, in the process, you'll naturally attract people who are on the same wavelength, people who will genuinely miss you when you're not there, because your presence adds something valuable and irreplaceable to their lives. And now, let me share with you some specific words you could use, inspired by Jungian psychology, if you want to send a voice message that truly makes someone miss you. I've been thinking a lot lately. About us, about me, about life in general. And I've realized that for a long time, I was looking outside for what I could only find within myself. I was waiting for other people, for you, to fill voids that only I can fill. And in that process, maybe I wasn't completely myself. Maybe I only showed the parts of me that I thought would be accepted, appreciated. But now I'm on a different journey. A journey inward, toward truly knowing myself, toward accepting all parts of me, even those that scare me. And you know what? It's liberating. There's a peace that comes with being authentic, with stopping the fight against oneself. I don't know where this path will lead me. I don't know if our paths will cross again in a meaningful way. But I wanted to share this with you because you've been important in my life. You've been part of my story, my growth. And although I'm now learning to be complete on my own, that doesn't mean I don't value the deep connections I've had. On the contrary, I can now appreciate them from a healthier, more whole place. I just wanted you to know that I'm okay, that I'm growing, and that, whatever happens, I cherish the real moments we shared. Those moments where, perhaps without realizing it, our souls recognized each other for an instant. Take care, and always remember to choose yourself first. This type of message works not because it's manipulatively designed to create nostalgia, but because it communicates authenticity, personal growth, and a genuine connection without expectations or demands. It speaks from the Jungian self, from that central place of your being that is wise and complete. And that kind of communication has a power that no manipulative tactic could match. Jung believed that when we communicate from that authentic place, we're speaking directly to the unconscious of the other. And the unconscious recognizes truth, even if the conscious mind tries to deny it. So when you send a message like this, or when you simply live your life from this authenticity, you're creating an impression at an unconscious level that is much more powerful than any superficial impression. It's also important to understand that, according to Jung, all meaningful relationships change us. They transform us. There's an energetic and psychological exchange that leaves a mark. When you've had a real connection with someone, a part of you remains with that person, and a part of them remains with you. And it's precisely that part that makes them miss you when you're no longer physically present. That's why the key to being missed isn't in what you specifically do to achieve it, but in the quality of the connection you establish when you are present. Are you authentic? Are you really present? Or just physically there? Do you allow the other person to truly see you, with your light and your shadows? Because it's those deep connections that create the most noticeable voids when they disappear. Jung would also speak to us about the importance of space in relationships. Just as in music, the silence between notes is as important as the notes themselves. The space between two people is crucial for the health of the relationship. When you learn to be comfortable with that space, when you don't constantly try to fill it with words or actions, you create a field for the connection to breathe and grow naturally. And curiously, it's also that space that allows the feeling of missing to arise. When you're constantly present, when there's no separation, there's no opportunity for the other person to feel your absence, to value what you bring to their life. Jung would say that even the most intimate relationships need this rhythm of connection and separation to remain healthy and vibrant. So if you really want someone to miss you, learn to give space. Not as a manipulative tactic, but as a recognition that each person needs time for their own inner journey. And it's in that space where the seed of missing you can naturally germinate. And here's another profound perspective Jung would offer us. Sometimes, what the other person misses isn't you specifically, but a part of themselves that your presence awakened. Perhaps with you they felt more alive, more creative, more connected to aspects of themselves they normally ignore. And when you're no longer there, what they really miss is that feeling of wholeness, that connection with themselves that you somehow catalyzed. This leads us to a deeper understanding of what it means to be missed. It's not just about the other person constantly thinking about you or desiring your physical presence. It's about your essence, your unique energy, having touched something significant in them. It's about you having left a mark that goes beyond conscious memory, an impression at the soul level. And to achieve that, You need to be willing to be transformed yourself by the relationship. Jung believed that the most powerful relationships are those in which both people are open to being changed by the encounter. When you approach someone with that openness, with that willingness to be vulnerable and to grow, you create the conditions for a connection that transcends the ordinary. I'm not talking about codependency, where two incomplete people try to complete each other. I'm talking about two beings who are committed to their own growth and who meet on that path, enriching each other without losing themselves in the process. That kind of connection is the one that leaves the deepest mark, the one that generates the kind of missing that can be felt even years after the separation. Jung believed that each meaningful encounter has a purpose, a lesson to teach us. Sometimes that lesson is precisely learning to let ourselves be missed, to allow our absence to speak as loudly as our presence, to trust that if the connection is genuine, it doesn't need to be forced or manipulated. It can breathe, it can expand and contract, it can even seemingly break, but what is real will remain. And perhaps that's the deepest lesson of all, that what is true cannot be destroyed, that the connections that are meant to be part of your life will find their way back to you, perhaps in unexpected ways, perhaps at unexpected times. And in the meantime, your job is simply to be yourself completely, without reservations, without fear. Because in the end, what will make you missed isn't the tactics you employ, but the person you are. The unique energy that emanates from your being when you're living from your authenticity. The specific light that only you can radiate when you've found the courage to be who you truly are. And when you live from that place, from that deep authenticity, you don't need to worry about whether someone misses you or not. Because you'll be so busy living a life that fulfills you, that excites you, that makes you feel alive, that the worry will naturally fade away. And paradoxically, it's precisely that attitude that will make you more magnetic, more memorable, more missed when you're not there. So my invitation to you today is this: instead of focusing on how to make someone miss you, focus on how you can be more yourself, on how you can honor your deepest truths, listen to your intuitions, follow your own path regardless of what others might think or say, and trust that when you do that, when you commit to your own journey of individuation, as Jung would call it, you're creating the perfect conditions for authentic connections. Connections that will naturally include moments of missing, of longing, of fondly remembering. But they'll also include something much more valuable: the feeling of having been touched at the soul level by someone who had the courage to be real. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel there's truth in these words, I invite you to share it with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes, a simple video can be the catalyst for profound change in someone's life. And if it has helped you personally, I'd love to know how in the comments. Remember, you're here to be yourself, completely and without apologies. And when you live from that truth, you become someone impossible to forget. Not because you're actively trying to be, but because authenticity has a magnetic power that nothing else can match. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content like this. And if you think someone else could benefit from hearing this message, share it. Sometimes the words we most need to hear come to us in the most unexpected moments and forms. Thank you for being here, for dedicating your time and attention to this message. And always remember that the most important journey you'll ever undertake is the journey toward yourself, toward your truth, toward your authenticity, toward the person you truly are beneath all the layers and masks you've accumulated over the years. And on that journey, you'll discover not only how to be missed when you're not there, but something much more valuable: how to be loved and appreciated for who you truly are when you're present. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all seeking: to be seen, to be recognized, to be appreciated, not for what we do or what we have, but for who we are in our deepest essence. Until the next video, always remember to choose yourself first, not as an act of selfishness, but as the necessary foundation for any authentic and lasting connection with others. Take care, and I'll see you soon.